Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei Extras. Today we're going to be doing an event review of Block Wars 14, the first 2025 Block Wars event, also the one that happened 2 days ago. I did not do a review yesterday because I was short on time, and also my VOD was up, so that's why you had to wait an extra day, I guess. If you're new to event reviews, I'm going to go over the event, talk about everything that happened, including who won, so this is a spoiler alert in case you haven't watched this event and you care about not being spoiled the results. I will be talking about the results, kind of going, looking at like what's particularly interesting, what's different, what's unique, or what is expected, etc. And reviewing every game, talking about the updates or what it was like, etc. And yeah, we're just gonna get a full picture of the entire event experience. So let's get into the entire event. From now on, there will be spoilers, so let yourself be known. This is the final spoiler alert. Okay, let's get into the results. So, my team ended up winning, which, look, in going into this event, I kind of set the expectation that my team was not a winning contender. I didn't say it was impossible, but I said it was going to be very difficult for my team to win, which I do stand by. The initial team I had, and most of the renditions that I initially had of my team were not very strong teams. They were not weak teams at all, but they were not very strong teams. They were just okay. However, with the plentiful substitutes that had to happen, we even had to have one last minute, which ended up being Swifty's, and Swift locked in. You could say Swift locked in. For anyone who is unfamiliar, let me just pull up the most recent Origins event that we played in together. He played in this event with me on Team Sfeel with Kalen, Narwhal, and Ruben. Ruben also playing in this main event. And he placed individually 35th. So I was like, you know what? Maybe he would do slightly better in an Origin, or in a main event, sorry. Maybe like 5-10 placements difference, because Origins is harder, but if you get the hang of things, you won't have that big of a difference. However, what ended up happening was that Swifties got 13th. So, in retrospect, to an extent, that isn't entirely surprising, because the two Origins appearances that Swift had were on teams that I would consider weaker. I don't think the team that I just showed to you most recently for Origins was a weak team, but it was weaker than most other teams, because I'm unfortunately a bit washed nowadays. Ruben and Swift are extremely new and you know, to Block Wars, especially at that time, and that team just kind of was not really set up to win. This time around, we had a team that was significantly better in terms of if Swift replaces our bottom frag, by the way. If Swift replaces the bottom frag, that is a major buff in retrospect, of course, because now he's in an easier environment on a stronger team. Yeah, of course, his placement is going to catapult upwards. 13th is not what I expected, but going from 35th to top half, not super surprising. So I guess that kind of makes sense, right? Regardless, yeah, my team ended up winning. It was OP. Yes, I 4th fragged, okay? I know, it's funny. We can make fun of it. I won't get into super much details, but just know that, of course, with my computer not working, number one, I was not able to play the game, not able to play Minecraft. You could say that, you know, all my teammates don't play Minecraft. How are they doing better than you? Very valid argument. You're right. Yeah, of course. No, very impressive for them to outfrag me, Minecraft main, because they don't even play Minecraft. Sleepy top fragging, he only plays Block Wars for Minecraft, right? So, sure. Number two, not having a computer was not the best thing for my mental health, because there was many repercussions that came with it and many things that I had to deal with. So I was definitely not in the right headspace, or just had the best day in terms of the event itself going into this event. So those factors all together kind of, you know, resulted in 14th. Last time I had an embarrassing showcase like this was Rookies 2, where I got like 12th in Rookies. It happens sometimes. Sometimes the stress is too much, or sometimes I just fumble certain games, because we can get into it now. Game 1, we can use the individual board. OverSpleef, you're like, oh, Wolfeei, I see the top 12. Where are you? Oh, I see the top 30. Where are you? 31st. Look, I just didn't play well in OrderUp, or sorry, in OverSpleef. OverSpleef was just not my game this time around. I think I did okay in the TNT Spleef one, like not great, but just like fine. I just did horrible in the last round, and then not very good in the first round either. So 31st, not entirely surprising. To get into the actual game discussion for OverSpleef, obviously there was a new round. There was the Spleevolution round, which is the one where the further down you go on the layers, the bigger you become. And I think there is some parts about that game that could be very good. I think it's right now silly. I don't think it's bad. It's just silly. There's some things that definitely were not properly balanced, mostly in terms of interaction range that players were given on different sizes. For those of you who are not aware, the way Minecraft works is it calculates everything from your head angle. So where your head is in game is where every like angle and direction and distance is calculated from. What happens is if you become larger, your head goes up a lot. If you don't increase the block interaction range, you at some point are no longer able to reach blocks. We did adjust the block interaction range, but clearly it was too small. So it should be fixed soon, hopefully. Well, we'll look into it for next event. I hope. I don't know. But yeah, that is definitely that was an oversight a little bit. Also because obviously I might design the games, but I'm not allowed to test them. So that's just something I was not aware of. And yeah, that kind of resulted in some silly gameplay, which is, it is what it is. So yeah, OverSpleef. For the rest, it was fine. I mean, the round 1 and round 2 are classics. I'm still a Spleef enjoyer. I think Spleef is a good game mode. Also, did not realize this at the time. There was 4 red players in top 5. I know there's some level of team bonus, I think, for performing in Spleef, but what the hell? What happened here? What the hell happened here? What do you mean all 4 of these red players just locked in and all got top 5? Yeah, no wonder they were so confidently in first, because I think, yeah, point gap, my ass. All right, sick. My team actually did end up doing pretty all right in OverSpleef. I just threw. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, OverSpleef, definitely interesting. I do like that we are experimenting with the game a lot. I think it's nice to have a bit more of a twist and uniqueness to OverSpleef. The way I kind of view it is OverSpleef is like Party, but if the same Party game got different renditions, which of course, it's a miscellaneous game with multiple rounds. You could just title it that, but that's what it feels like for me. And I think that Spleef, hypothetically as a party game, would have been amazing, but it's good enough that you can just make it its own game. And I think it works really well. I think it's nice to have in the roster. Definitely not going to be one of the best games in the roster, but it is a just good, decent one to have around. Doesn't really hurt being in the event. Next up, OrderUp, which is actually another thing I want to mention. This is not game related specifically, but it is related to the event. The Decision Donut had some changes that had some impact on the event. One thing that I will note is I don't recall seeing many of the new power-ups in. That could just be an unlucky thing where maybe coincidentally those things just didn't end up, in the rotation. However, I do like that with stuff like the Molotov, you got a very unique order of games. This time around, OrderUp and Tomb Titans were not game 1 and 2. Yes, OrderUp was still second, but Tomb Titans was 4th. So there is some uniqueness to the game order now, which I think is good. Obviously, the Molotov is very strong, and it can negatively affect some teams. However, another thing to note is, of course, with the way the multiplier is structured, game 1 through 5 are equally as important. Right now, we might still adjust multipliers, but we'll see. As of right now, at least, game 1 to 5 are all 1 times multiplied, so this doesn't really necessarily matter. Like, OrderUp and Tomb Titans could be played 1st and 2nd, or 2nd and 4th. It does the same thing. It's just, it feels different, which is why I think, it's nice just to have it like this for once. Also, Battle being 3rd was cool. Spleef, I think, as a first game might be a little much, but I also don't really know what the best game is to start an event with, so yeah, I don't know. Anyways, OrderUp, I think, was decent. I honestly expected my team initially to be kind of bad at it. Not because I think any specific teammates on my team are bad at OrderUp, but more because previously when you have like me, Boost for Sleepy and Rain, and whoever on a team together. The communication is a little up in the air, you could say, but our team here did pretty good. I am getting better, I think, at OrderUp the more I play it. I just kind of don't claim a role. I mostly just decide that I want to fill, and then we adapt, adjust, whatever, which is very notable because during OrderUp, from my POV, I started as like the upgrade gatherer guy, which Sleepy later took over, but I started as that, and I have never really done that before, which then resulted in me kind of not really playing to my fullest ability. Then afterwards, I became a crafter, and you just notice that, like, maybe it's the Feinberg influence from when we played together, but like I can just craft and be chilling, right? I'm decent at doing things quickly now, because especially if you just lock in, yeah, it just works. I think Swifties was also pretty locked in. So again, our team being a very well-rounded team just means that we were going to do pretty good at this game. For the rest, OrderUp didn't really have anything new, I don't think so. Nothing in particular to talk about in terms of this was better or worse. It just felt nice. I mean, it's just a good game. Next up, though, Battle. This game definitely had some changes, and they definitely had a significant effect. I don't really know specifically if the effect is because of the map changes or just because people decided, F it, we ball, and just approach the game differently. Because round one, my team got wiped immediately. However, if you think about the context as to why that happened, we were, going for a capture point, fighting one other team. Then another team comes. We're like, oh crap, there's a third team. Few seconds later, half the lobby shows up. We just get absolutely dogpiled by the entire lobby, and it's just over. Yeah, at that point, it's cooked. Like, I don't even know what we were supposed to do. I guess run, which is what we did in the second round, and the second round went way better for us. But that was just crazy. Like, we had the entire lobby on our ass. Like, I don't know, man. So that was definitely interesting, but I do think overall, there are some elements that should be taken note of in terms of how this new revised version of Frostbite for Battle played out, and how that could affect future maps. Because I think one of the most important things, which is something that has been mentioned a lot, but I knew like this was important, but I just didn't know how to implement it into the maps until now, is you need cover. You need sectioned off areas where people can actively approach each other, because this is something that Morgan from Origins said previously. If you have a lot of vision, if you at all times can see what's happening, nobody can surprise you with an attack unless they're coming from behind you. However, you can't be approached from behind in this final border, which is why you see all these teams sit in corners during the final border, because you can see every movement. That's also why people get punished for going first. Makes a lot of sense, right? Didn't think about it like that initially, but with Morgan's insight, that makes sense, right? That's of course, right? Sure. So now the mid has cover. It has other stuff around the map as well that kind of force people more into the same direction, kind of makes them more incentivized to fight, and it resulted in 3 rounds of final borders that all felt pretty good. There was no round where it was just like final circle, everyone's kits gets reset, and you just smack each other. It felt good. However, it is still Battle. Battle is not a perfect game. However, I do think this is one of the strongest showings of Battle. I think if this rendition of Battle can happen a bit more consistently every time it's in, which means across different maps and with different kits and whatever, it has a place in the roster. However, I do think it's going to end up being in the roster as much as like MCC SG, where occasionally you'll have it in because people will highly request it to be in, and some players will like seeing it in, but usually you'll probably not see it in rotation very often. Whenever possible, of course, which right now is not the case. You cannot just bench Battle every event, but whenever possible, Battle will probably be an infrequent appearance once we figure other things out, of course, right? Anyways, that is Battle. Felt pretty solid overall compared to previous renditions. Next up, we have Tomb Titans. Tomb Titans, I don't think was much different than before. It definitely was different, but not that much different than before. There was some there was some new rooms, some slight new puzzles, etc. That were added, and I think it just made the map feel more full. Some, areas end up being, it could be like explored a little bit more, which kind of means that like you don't just have everybody go straight to mid and get everything on the way, and everyone just meets in mid awkwardly, right? That's not a thing that happens. People are now more slowly approaching middle, and it means that while still trying to be quick enough to avoid the collapsing chunks behind you, you still have to like look at multiple optional paths, etc. And I also think one thing that's very nice about this game that honestly I think is what I see on Reddit in terms of feedback is heavily overlooked is people almost need to work in pairs. Very few people can go solo. I think 5UP ended up going solo, and he was mostly fine. I think Feinberg usually obviously goes solo, and he's always fine. But most people in this event probably will need to go alongside one of their teammates. And I think that's good. I think that's good to have that kind of required level of teamwork in the game, especially with some of the puzzles where you need 2 people to open, or to stand on pressure plates to open a door. I think that'll be very nice for people to... for people to work together, and thus it'll be a bit more teamwork oriented. However, I will say there is an element of validity in the feedback where people are saying like communication wise compared to SOT, I guess this falls behind. One thing is, yeah, if you compare this game to the best Minecraft event game, of course you're gonna find flaws. It's like when people compare every finale to Dodgeball, it just goes, well, it's not Dodgeball, so it's bad. That's not... You're missing the point. So, anyways, there's definitely room for improvement in Tomb Titans. It's also hard to tell if this one sample size is a major improvement over the others. We don't know if this will consistently be better than it was before, but I do think this is... this game is only increasing in quality the more and more it's played, because there's just more being added to it. Hopefully, sometime this year we're able to do a significant update so the game is kind of given a second chance and refresh, because I think just like with Build Mart and MCC, a lot of people just have this set mentality of how this game, or what this game is like, and are not really willing to give it a second chance. So hopefully if the game gets given a chance to improve, it'll be better. I think it will. But sometimes wise this round, it went pretty decent. Me and Rain went together for the most part, which worked out well. I think we just did all right. One thing that is notable about this game, though, is that there's very little gap in points. We'll see what can be done about that. I mean, the gap in points mostly in terms of the indiv board. I think team-wise there might be a decent... Yeah, the margins aren't that big, but like there's a decent gap between some of these teams in terms of points. So honestly, not bad. It's a game that's very hard to balance because everyone gets equal opportunity. So if everyone just plays equally well, they're going to get equal results, right? That's kind of how the game is structured. This also could happen in SOT. You just don't see it as often because there is a little bit more greediness that comes into play that can result in punishment for some of the players. Anyways, then a break happened. Then we're on to Game 5, which was Party. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I feel like this was one of the weakest showings for Party. Maybe it's just my team specifically that took issue with some things, but I feel like some of the things in Party this time just didn't really go as well. Party usually to me feels like a very safe, very good game. Maybe it's again a one sample size where things maybe just didn't flow as well as they have in the past, but I didn't really like super love this Party this time. I didn't dislike it. I just was like, okay, like it was alright. Because in terms of the games, you had, I think game 1 was I honestly don't remember which was the first one. I think it might have been, I'll just do it in order of what I remember. Photon, which I don't think was first. Something with the map about like spawns and stuff didn't go super well. I just kept dying in the beginning, and I also was just whiffing. I was not playing well, but I later got the hang of things, and things went a little bit better. But yeah, definitely was struggling a little bit during some parts of Party, especially during Photon was a little rough. Then there was Go Down, which I actually liked Go Down the most, which is surprising. I thought Go Down was like the weakest party game, but I liked it the most this time around. I thought it was pretty fun. Then there was Heist, which definitely needs some attention for whatever future event it can get attention for whenever we have the time, because that game, it has some flaws. It's not a bad game mode. Some people are being way too strict when they're thinking about when a game is bad or not. That game definitely has flaws though. It needs probably either an updated map, maybe a new map, and maybe some other features whenever possible. But yeah, that one was like that. And then Beep Test. Beep Test had some small issues. I think overall as a game it's fine. I know some people on the Reddit were very vocal about like hating this version of Beep Test and thinking the old one was way better, which again, I think you're missing the point of why this change was made. You either get any player has a chance at competing, but the higher skill players can take an extra risk to do better, or everyone plays the same map and you just get a PB voidbound situation where, yeah, the good players win and yeah, the bad players lose. For the most part. Obviously, there are going to be exceptions, or sometimes a bad player or a weaker player or a mid player might pull through, but that is like a 1 in 20 chance that maybe happens, which I don't think is good overall as a game mode. I think you'd much rather have equal opportunity. Obviously, there is still a level of like, oh, the good players should survive, but for the most part, the average extent to which a player should be able to survive is higher than it was before, which is why the change is made. There are definitely flaws though. I'm not going to say that this rendition of Beep Test is flat out better. There's definitely things that are better about the previous one. I think that's just features that are missing, or maybe some things that need to be tweaked. For example, there being a level before the next level and people like prep a jump and then fail. That shouldn't happen. What else was there? There was some level progression issues with difficulty. I think that's also mostly on the way it's built. That can probably be improved as well. And yeah, that's mainly the thing for Beep Test. So yeah, that's Party. Next up, Blitz Hunt. Nothing new about Blitz Hunt. I had a really unfortunate, unlucky one where you can see I got 30th, which isn't very common, I think, when I play Blitz Hunt. If I just look at my stats and we look at Blitz Hunt, you'll see that I usually do a little bit better. Obviously, 19th and 14th isn't like majorly impressive, but 30th is quite a drop down. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, I didn't do too hot in Blitz Hunt. Swift absolutely carried though. He got like, I think 6 rounds survived or something, and he got a couple of kills as well as a hunter. That's a very good showing from him. And yeah, in general, Blitz Hunt just was an interesting one this time around. I didn't perform super well, but the game is still fun. I liked it, even despite doing poorly. I still like the game. It's fun. So nothing to comment about Blitz Hunt. Trailblazers, my team did surprisingly well in this game. I did not expect our team to lock in for Trailblazers, but if you look at the performance board, 10th, 11th, 13th, and 16th, and then like 26th is pretty good. We take those, you know. This was, yeah, I mean, this is good. New levels felt good. New hub is whatever. It's just a same like layout. It's just, it looks a little bit nicer. And yeah, I mean, Trailblazers, same thing as Blitz Hunt. Just a good game. Nothing really particular to say about it. Nothing majorly changed for it. So nothing specific to call out. Finally, well, semi-finally, we'll talk about the finale as well. Extraction, which finally, after so many times where we were like, Extraction's our game. Extraction was actually our game for once. I think we got, if we look at the team leaderboard, yeah, we got first by a decent margin because we just did confidently well in this game. I think Extraction, this map is really good. I think there's definitely some a lot of reusability with this map, and one thing that was very important for blockwars to have is another regular map that can be thrown in at any moment, and I think Bazaar does serve that purpose pretty well. Kind of reminds me of Dust because of, you know, it being sand themed, but obviously it is different. It's a unique map. For the rest, nothing really that I need to say about Extraction. Again, this game felt good. I think that's kind of the current state with a lot of blockwars games, is they feel pretty good. I don't think every game is fantastic, but I haven't really like had many issues with recent blockwars specific games where I'm just like, in particular, this game is bad or this game needs help. Like, there's things that can improve, But no game right now in Block Wars is genuinely bad, and if you think it's genuinely bad, I don't know what to tell you, man. I am definitely biased, but like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Set your standards lower. You're not gonna get like, you know, whatever. Unless you're someone who just likes PvP and parkour a bunch, then obviously I understand you're not gonna like Tomb Titans or something because there's no PvP parkour, so you know, whatever. But yeah, for the rest, I think every game felt pretty good this time around. And yeah, also another thing about team balancing, if we look at the all games individual leaderboard, or more so the team leaderboard, aside from Orange, the balancing was pretty good, considering that Aqua Team heavily got buffed with substitutes. And, well, Yellow Team was, like, slightly too strong, but not too strong in the sense of, like, it needed to be, like, Omega nerfed. Also, that one had substitutes. Red Team was definitely one of the stronger ones. Again, the two teams I expected to be the strongest ones were the strongest ones before substitutes, so that makes sense. And for the rest, performances, I mean, I'm not super fussed about any of these, besides Orange. I do feel bad for Orange because some of the people on Orange consistently get or have teams that underperform or something like that, mostly like Smant and stuff. So whenever possible, I'll try to compensate. But yeah, I think the team balancing overall was pretty solid. Just some slight oversights here and there that, honestly, what was I supposed to do? Like when you look at the Orange performance, like, yeah, some of these are going to be because the team did worse. Misty is not going to get 20th on average, right? That's not happening. But some of them I am a little surprised by. I did not expect Ryan Cordios to be the third frag on the team. That's kind of the main one. I was just like, oh, well, I can't really predict that. I also can't fault Ryan for you know, underperforming this time. That just happens from time to time. I also underperformed, so. But in terms of team balancing, that is the thing where I'm like, sorry, man. Like, I can't really do too much about that. Oh yeah, and then finally talking about Shockwave. Shockwave, I think, is still a pretty good finale. Is it perfect? No. Is there room for improvement? Yes. But I think it's at a state now where I would say for the average player, it is better than Turf Wars, especially, or Bridges. Because, again, for the people who keep asking for Bridges, you're missing the point. You don't get it. All right? That game feeds into good players. That is not how a finale should work. Anyone should stand a chance, which is proven with the new finale to be the case. Anyone could perform. So there you go. That is the event review of Block Wars 14. Let me know your thoughts on this event, what you loved or maybe didn't like, or what you're hoping for future events, etc. And that's about it. Next Block Wars will be sometime next month, probably. So I'll see y'all for those announcements. Anyways, talk to you later. Goodbye.